Hello all, and thanks for tuning in for this recap of the Collins Cup. It's been a little bit longer than I usually take to get my recap up. Obviously, part of that was due to the travel. Obviously traveling back from Europe right now is always a bit of an adventure, and had a few issues with a layover getting or a flight getting canceled, causing me to have to stay in London overnight. But we made it back safe and sound, and for the most part, the jet lag has been kicked, and I'm back to moving the body and just trying to get right with the world. So thought I would put together a quick video recap here to go over my race as well as my overall experience at the Collins Cup. The race, if you saw the last video that I put out on my thoughts on the matchup, I was very clear that if I did not have a good swim, if I did not have a great swim, it was going to be a long day for me. And, that's unfortunately what happened. I was able to hold on feet for about 250 meters, but just wasn't able to make it that last little bit that I would have needed to. Braden and Patrick, definitely swim better than I do. It was going to be a stretch in a smaller race to hang on to that pack. If there's a bunch more guys in there that are kind of the gap fillers, it's a little bit easier to hang with the front group than if you've got the smaller ones. So as you saw with this race format, is if you have swimmers who are similar, they're able to keep together. If not, the gaps were definitely a little bit bigger than they normally would have been in a normal race situation. But that's kind of the beauty of these small little matchups is it just creates new wrinkles. And for me, unfortunately, that didn't work to my favor this time around. Like I said, I knew I was going to have a great swim, and I just didn't do that. It set me back. I think I was about a minute 40 coming out of the water, and yeah, so I was basically by myself chasing all day. Patrick and Braden swam together. Coming into the event, the final lead up, I was in a really good spot until about 2 weeks before the race, and then I'd obviously been battling with my knee all summer long. I shut it down after St. George in May, tried to get it going again to get back to Des Moines, shut it down again because I had a flare up, and then got back and going. And then unfortunately the Tuesday before I left, I had a bit of a setback where it just swelled up a little bit afterwards. I stopped the workout. That's actually the first time I've actually pulled the pin on a workout for as long as I can remember. And just like, okay, we're just going to take it easy on the running until the race day. It'll be fine till then. But, there's that little shadow of doubt in the back of the mind is like, is it really going to be fine? How is it going to go? And because of that, my race plan had to be swim hard and bike hard. And, I just didn't execute that well. My swim was okay considering it was pretty much all solo. I'm not upset with the way that I swam. My bike, I held pretty good power throughout the straightaways. It was raining, and I definitely lost early on. There was quite a few turns and corners, and there was, I think, 3 or 4 people who had already gone down on the day, and I definitely lost time through those corners. This has been something that I need to continue to improve on. That's been something that I know I'm always working on, but I'm just not as good at that component as the 2 guys I was racing with. And so once we got to the highway and to the main section of the course, I held pretty consistent with both Braden and Patrick. At the end, Patrick started to fade off, and I started to make up some good time with him. By the time I left the interstate, I was within 45 seconds of him, and had pulled right behind him as we came into transition. Then it was time to get off to the run. Usually that's the most excited moment that I have when it's now I'm in control. I can't have a mechanical or anything like that. But that's usually the point where I go to work and start making up ground, and I just wasn't able to do that this time. Obviously, finishing well back from Braden. Braden had a fantastic day. Even it would have taken my best to be competitive with him. So he hats off to him. He was definitely putting the hurt on both Patrick and I. I came out of transition with Patrick. I know he wasn't feeling that great, and I started out and my stride just wasn't there. My knee was not very happy with me. And so it was just, the thought process was just try to settle in. And, at that point, it was a race between Patrick and I. I knew I was down about 4 minutes to Braden, and it was going to take a lot to make that up. And so I just tried to focus on securing second, at least first and foremost, and then, hopefully getting a split for what was going on farther up the road later on. Got in, the first 4 or 5 miles, I felt pretty decent. I was able to run, I didn't have my normal stride. I was still muscling through it. It wasn't my kind of the effortless, easy speed that I can kind of get into most of the time when I'm running. But I was running okay, and I was running well enough. Put a little bit of a gap on Patrick. Wasn't doing much of anything to claw Braden back. He was holding steady early on. And then about halfway through, we had the first little downhill section, and that's always kind of been what's been this summer is I've avoided downhill running at any cost. Just that's what lights the knee up, and that first little downhill section was definitely what caused the wheels to come off a little bit. And then from there on, it was just hang on and try to do what I could to stay in front of Patrick. And I had opened the gap up to just under 2 minutes, and that's where we get an extra bonus point. If I could have held that on, would have been great to be able to hold the 2 minutes on Patrick, but I didn't get it done in the end, and so it ended up about 1.5 minutes in front of him and well back from Braden. So again, overall, not too thrilled with the performance. All things considered, like from a performance standpoint, I'm happy with the way things went, given the circumstances. I do have a couple doctor's appointments this week. Just gotta go back and figure out what the next steps are and what the rest of the season is going to hold. To be continued on that. Stay tuned for an update there. Overall thoughts on the Collins Cup in general. I think we saw some fantastic matchups. We saw some great breakout performances. But most importantly, we saw the top people in the world racing head-to-head. And that's really what the sport needs to continue to grow. I've said this numerous times. I think that the way this format was set up, the top people were incentivized to race hard against each other. And that's what this sport needs. The viewership numbers seem to be very, very good. So, it's hard for people to tune in and stay engaged when you've got one person 20 minutes out in front or 10 minutes out in front of everybody else. With this format, there's, people starting constantly, people finishing constantly throughout the event, and so it kept people engaged, and the commentators did a fantastic job of telling the stories of each matchup and telling the story of each individual. So I really think that it was a great first inaugural event. It showed proof of concept. It showed that this is what fans want, and I'm really looking forward to it continuing to improve. Continuing to see what the PTO can come up with. There's some big things on the radar for next year as well. Some more major races are going to be announced here in the near future, which is really exciting. It's a great time to be a professional triathlete in the sport because we're finally all coming together and really doing what we need to do to continue to grow and to continue to provide a great showing for all the people, all the triathlon fans, and try to, bring in a few new fans along the way as well. That's all I have for you today, so stay tuned. I'll release an update as soon as I know next week with what everything is going on for the rest of my season. And once I kind of have a plan hashed out, you guys will be the first to know. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.